My name is Totalbiscuit, and I suck at Starcraft 2.
Ladies and gentlemen, my name is Totalbiscuit, and I still suck at Starcraft 2. Welcome to the first official episode for Heart of the Swarm. Every now and again, I'll make one of these, as is always the case. It's an irregular series on this channel, but every now and again I have the inkling to do it, mostly because I have the inkling to play Starcraft 2. That, in this case, was resulted from a trip to MLG Dallas, which was a very enjoyable event, one of the best tournaments I've had the pleasure to cast. So, I just got back from MLG Dallas. As you can probably hear, my voice is a little bit croaky, as it tends to be, after 3 days worth of solid event casting. And I decided, you know what, I'm going to go on ladder. I did my placements at MLG on my little Choco Mini keyboard, which went surprisingly well. Nice mini mechanical keyboard, lacking in certain functions, but great for the suitcase. I ended up in gold again, which is sad. I was winning all of my games, actually. I went 3 games in a row. Everything was doing pretty well. And then I ran into a couple of Diamond League Terrans, and I lost against both of them, and I ended up in gold. So there you go. Gold is apparently now going to be the place where most people live. It is going to be the largest bracket of every bracket in the entire set of leagues. That was recently announced by the guys over at Blizzard, and they said, "Oh, yep, we're changing this around because we don't think the spread was right. We think that bronze was too inclusive, and it had too high a skill range in it, and so on and so forth." Now, as you can see, I haven't been playing much StarCraft, and as a result, my macro is slipping really, really badly here. You can already see that the other guy is a bit ahead of me, and you think, oh, well, you know, he can be ahead of supply because he's got Chrono Boost. Yeah, but he's farther ahead of me than he should be. I wasn't building workers at the correct speed. Like, for instance, I've got too much money right here. I really shouldn't have this much money by this stage. If I was macroing properly, then I wouldn't be sitting on this much. So, by now, I should have had this orbital command going, but I can't do that because, of course, I don't have my barracks up because I was too late on them. Scout comes in right here by the fellow with the barcode for the name. Wouldn't worry too much about him. He's not exactly what you would call a pro player by any stretch of the imagination. You finally realize who I was, actually. I'm using the clan tag here. If you notice anyone called Totalbiscuit, I actually don't play as Totalbiscuit. I play as Shoutcraft US with the Axiom clan tag, because I own the Axiom clan, so you'll know who I am. Anyone else is a fake. Besides, you can probably tell, because they'll be a lot better than me. Command center going down. So, this is the build that I have elected to do pretty much in most of my games, which is essentially little more than 1 Rax expand. And it's 1 Rax with gas, just because I want a few options here and there. This is just awful in the sense that I am so horribly wrong in everything. I got supply blocked here, I missed my upgrade to orbital command, not building units, not building tech. I mean, I could have, considering the supply block, I could have actually thrown down a reactor there. That would have worked pretty well. There was an opportunity to throw down a factory a lot earlier. I mean, I'm sitting on 200 gas, I'm not spending on anything. So, you know, I'm gonna put down a second barracks. It's like, yeah, it's not a terrible idea. I can play catch-up. But as you can see, I finally start building my units again. Now, he is already 5 supply ahead of me, which is a pretty grim situation. Hasn't really built many units at all. I'm actually kind of surprised not to see a Stalker out of him here. But he's not really floating a huge amount of money, so it's not too bad. Throws down a couple more gateways, got a Zealot in defense. He himself gets supply blocked. So, you know, we're around the same level, but he gets supply blocked for significantly less time. And he's got his Nexus down. So, this is ready, but I haven't turned it into an orbital command yet. And because I didn't have the cash to do it. And finally, I put my factory down, which, again, is way too late. All sorts of mistakes going on so far from me here. Like, Tech Lab much earlier, I could have probably had Stim done by now. In fact, I know I could have, if that's what I was pushing for. Or Combat Shields, which would have been great. An initial Marine Harass push would have been absolutely fantastic. He had a bare minimum of units out, actually, which is kind of sad. If I had got a few more Marines out, I could have actually pushed, killed the Zealot, and maybe forced him to build the Stalker. Maybe done a little bit of damage here and there. I did get in and scout, which was pretty good. I got the information that he went 3-gate and robotics facility, and they'd also taken his gas, and that he got a Nexus up and he was mining from it. Also, they didn't really have a huge amount of defense. Don't think I saw the Mothership Core, if I recall correctly. I did just play this game. I don't remember that Mothership Core actually ever being a factor in anything, weirdly enough. You pretty much used it for defense. What I didn't see was the Stargate, which went down after I left. So it's like Warp Gate, Robo, Stargate, which is kind of odd, although not completely out of the ordinary. We're seeing quite a lot of Protoss go Void Rays, especially like lower level games, because they're just so good at killing a lot of things. So there's nothing necessarily wrong with that. Now this is all so late, you know? If I was Flash, I'd have had 2 medevacs in the field by now, but as it stands, I've just finished my factory, got my reactor up, and since I think over the next few weeks, I'm going to be really focusing on the idea of improving my macro, which, as you can see, is clearly not working here. I'm just dreadful. If my macro was good, he wouldn't already be almost 20 supply ahead of me. And it's just ridiculous that he is, but it's entirely my fault. I haven't done anything to him to stop him from doing that. I'm setting up this kind of defensive position, and just this slack macro has really thrown me into this awful spot. I'm floating a lot of minerals. What I should be doing here, especially considering my money, is to either grab a starport or throw down maybe an additional factory or a few more racks, depending on what exactly I want to do. I'm going stim, so going biomine seems to be the best way to do it. But the thing is, if I'm going biomine, then where the hell are my medevacs? I need those in order to do bio. I should be dropping him. He's got no static defense here. His actual unit count is really low. I could have done that by now, but I screwed it up, so that didn't work out too well. I think the only thing I really did do right here was to try and establish some sort of defense. The idea for me, when it comes to lots and lots of macro, is that if I can defend myself, and Widow Mines are a really good passive way of doing that, then I can focus on building instead of focusing on microing, where my entire macro falls to pieces. Went in there with another little scout, just to have a look around and see what I could see. So I saw that he had quite a few zealots and a sentry and a stalker. No big deal, honestly. Nothing particularly out of the ordinary there. Stalker's gonna waddle on in and see what it can see. I'm pretty well defended against it. I mean, there's no way it's getting through there. And finally, I'm getting my starport going. Which is just kind of silly, really. It's been a fairly passive game so far. I think I just shot down his observer, which was a bit of a mistake by him. A little silly to let that slip. I saw that one on the edge, and I sent my Marauder in there. Don't have concussive shell, but I do have stim, so I can chase that down, which is quite nice. As you can see on the mini-map, he doesn't actually choose to go back there, but he does establish a pylon there and actually goes to build his third. And at the end of the day, why wouldn't he? From what he's seen of my army, it's not really good at attacking. I've invested quite a lot in Widow Mines. These are okay for doing things like Widow Mine drops, but for actual direct attacks, they're pretty terrible. So he knows that I've got a lot of Widow Mines because he's been hovering around with his observer. So he may elect to go with some static defense and just kind of prepare to deal with the Widow Mine drop, since it's a fairly ubiquitous strategy. Supply blocked again, which is just disgraceful. Building 4 supply deals at a time trying to alleviate this, but you know, he's keeping a good lead on me here. You know, he's about 15 supply ahead at pretty much all times, and once he gets his third Nexus up and really starts ramping his production forward, he's going to be able to do way better. Now, what he's doing is building a force of Void Rays here, which is not... It's not the world's worst decision. Again, Void Rays are pretty good. Combining Void Ray with Immortal and a small number of Gateway units can work. The only problem is that composition just gets murdered by Mass Marine. What I actually have here is a lot of Marauders, because I was expecting a Gateway attack, and it never actually came. So I'm sitting here thinking, well, what the hell's going on? So I'm thinking, right, I need more facilities. I need to get my macro going. I just need to be spending money. I'm floating so many minerals. It's absurd. Really, really absurd. So now I'm just going to go and attack him. Just go and try again. Push myself forward here towards this third base. And then see what I can do. So I send my Marauders in here, and you know, this is a nice, easy pick-off, really, because it's just Zealots, and I've got Concussive Shell, so I stim forward to stop those from warping in, do a little bit of damage here and there. His army's kind of coming in this general direction, and I was like, oh, you know what, this is actually fine. The force fields actually screw him over more than they screw me, simply because his Zealots have to go around, but then I discover his Void Rays. This is actually a really cool thing for me. This was actually good, because this Marauder push, obviously, it didn't really do a lot. I think I lost more than he did. Actually, no, I didn't. I lost less. I did some pretty decent damage there. Killed a lot of Zealots. I mean, I lost a bit of gas, but not exactly a huge amount. And I'm like, huh, alright. He's got a lot of Void Rays. I should start building Vikings, which turns out to be a great idea because, as you can see in the production tab, he actually has Colossus. He's building them right now, so if I get a large force of Vikings and a lot of Marines, I can kill the Void Rays and I can kill the Colossus and everything will be kind of wonderful. In the meantime, I go for a Widowmine drop. Now, this I think was pretty dumb, but this is something I should have thought through a little bit more. What I saw were 2 cannons, yeah? There's actually a third one in the mineral line. It's probably more static defense than I would have expected, but I should have still kept an eye on it. This little Widowmine drop was kind of gimmicky, and funnily enough, there was actually a huge timing where I could have pushed out right now and actually killed him. And I decided, you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going to hover around with my medevac right here, and I'm going to drop into this mineral line. He already moves into respawn, so he's pretty good there. And I don't burrow quick enough here either. Yeah, he's got an observer with him anyway, so, you know, they probably wouldn't have done much. And down goes my medevac as well. So there was actually maybe a 1-minute timing window where I could have just hit him with a few medevacs, some Vikings, and a lot of Marines, and just hit his third base and killed it. And there's nothing he could have done about it. And I missed out on that. That was a key opportunity, where I just happened to have this big surge of units. I was on 2 bases, he was busy establishing his third, he spent a lot of money on static defense instead of actual units. But now, he built 6 more gateways, adding on 3 more, and he's also got an upgrade advantage on me. So, like, my advantage is going to start slipping away here. So I start to roll out, but, you know, obviously very slowly, because I might just bottleneck myself in here. I was going to take a third. Because he had Void Rays, I decided to kind of proxy this third base, just hide it somewhere, because I expected his Void Rays to come right at my natural third position, which would either be here or here, depending on what I wanted to do. As it turns out, he actually didn't do anything of the sort. He was just hanging around being defensive, I assume because he expected more drops coming out from me. He's posturing here, but what he also did, which I didn't know, and this is a key mistake as well here, because I've got a lot of energy here, I could have scanned to look for tech. This is what I know. I mean, this information is so out of date. I don't even know about the Stargate, technically. This Templar Archives. I had no idea about this tech switch, and that's actually kind of important, because I would have needed ghosts to properly deal with it. But I still have a fairly large army. The problem is his army's now bigger than mine, because I let it get to that point. And finally we go into this engagement here. His Colossus goes down, which is great. No, absolutely wonderful. Good to take that out, and his Void Rays come in as well, and suddenly he loses his ground defense. My Vikings move in. I stim forward again. I lose, actually, a few Marines here and there, because, you know, I'm stimming right at a Colossus, which... I get a little bit of indecision there. I probably could have killed that Colossus, but I ran into 2 more. Took some more damage here. I got the Vikings to chase. Took down the Mothership Core. I don't think we ever see that guy again. Vikings go down. I move to engage against these Void Rays. And, I mean, this is the time when I actually could have straight up won the game if these guys weren't sitting here. That's the really sad thing about this. This was a decisive engagement. I crushed him. I blew up all of his really good value units. And what did I do? Ran this injured army with 1 medevac here when I have... God, I have 50... I had 60 Marines there. 60. Plus a few Widowmines I could have brought. What did I do? I sent in about 15 with 1 medevac against 2 chargelets. And then I even end up taking damage on my Vikings and backing off here. I just let him get away with that. And then my second army comes in, but by the time it's going to hit him, what's going to happen? He's going to have had more units, and he has Archons now, and he's got an upgrade advantage over me. Not for long. I'm trying to play catch-up, but I'm only playing catch-up on 1 engineering bay. He's building from 2 forges. So he's doing much, much better there. What I should have been doing here is rallying units across the map. I also should have been building more medevacs. Once again, I'm going in here without medevacs. This huge warp in here. A lot of Templar coming in. He's going to have to morph those to Archons. Can't really do anything with them, but I'm charging straight into Archons and Chargelets with Marines. What was that? I ran right at... I'm a moron. I am an utter and complete moron. What was also dumb is I ran for his natural instead of his third. I could have smashed his third. I could have done significant damage here. But no, I went for a place where I knew he had more units. So that's what? Probably 2, maybe 3 instances where I could have won the game, and I've failed to do so because of sheer incompetence. My macros are actually mostly decent now. You know, I'm dropping quite a lot of mules. I'm still behind in SCVs, but thanks to mules, it's not as big a gap as it seems, and I've got a good amount of production facilities. I'm sitting on 6 barracks here. I think, yeah, 4 with reactors, 2 with tech labs. So that's not too bad. My upgrades are starting to play catch up. I'm actually upgrading ship weapons here, which is exactly the wrong thing to do, because he completely switched out of that tech. And now he's going to make a charge towards where he thinks my third base is, which, of course, is not there. So, it's like, oh, okay. My medevac count is critically low as well, which, once again, is another mistake. I keep forgetting to build medevacs. I managed to stack a few up here. I'm sitting on quite a lot of gas. I'm still floating a lot of minerals, and I noticed that. You know, I've got 3 bases now. 6 racks is not enough to actually saturate. So that, right, okay, I'm going to build 4 more barracks. I'm going to put them down here. And he's sort of posturing around the middle here. But he now has this nasty army. Like, he has 3-3. He's got Templars with Storm. Not too many. He's only got 2, but still. He's got enough energy for a couple of storms each. And I'm pretty much building Medevac Marine, which is an awful composition against that. If I'm going to fight this, which, you know, it's Archon Chargelet, which is a great comp, which just obliterates Marines. It really, really does. Unless they're caught in a nasty, narrow choke point, there is no way a Marine army is going to beat this. You need different units. Either you need to mix some mech in there, and smartly enough, he actually brings along an observer to spot that, and then I get a concave on here, and once again, I'm going to fight. I eat a storm, don't move out of it. He feedbacks both my medevacs over the side there, which is super smart. If I'd had more medevacs, that would have been better, but, you know, somehow, I still managed to actually win that engagement. If you can believe that, as ridiculous as it sounds. I won that engagement. I crushed that. He actually has no units. And the funny thing is, I then let him warp in about 50 more chargelets because I didn't move 3 inches to the right to kill that pylon. And now it's way more equal. It's still not equal. I'm still ahead of him. I'm still ahead. Somehow, I'm still ahead. So this is what, the 5th time I could have won the game? I also noticed this warp prism. And then I also noticed I have like 1 Viking. So I was way too slow to actually deal with that. These bunkers are actually less useful than you might think. They're actually quite the opposite. He goes in for a warp in here. I go for the shutdown. I think I get it. Yeah, I do shut down the warp prism. I still have a supply lead. I still have one. And you're thinking, you can't possibly lose now. Yes, you can, because he's established a 4th base. I am trying to establish my 4th and 5th bases, Zergy style, but he has, once again, Templar Archon Chargelet on 3-3. I'm looking for upgrade 3 here as well, but I've barely upgraded my armor, which means that Chargelets will decimate me. Very, very unpleasant indeed. But I'm building 40 Marines at a time here, building from all of these facilities, hand-put reactors on most of them, because I was still worried about getting hit by a counterattack, which I shouldn't have been. I'm still ahead in supply. Like, I am still technically winning this game. But you know what's going to happen, don't you? Yeah, I think you've probably figured it out at this stage. Look at all of those Templar and look at the amount of AoE. And then think, how could you possibly lose this game from this position? Yeah, there's a few ways. Oh yes, there are a few ways. As we go up to the final engagement and find out exactly how I colossally screwed this game up, let's look at what I'm not doing. Dropping. One of the biggest strengths of Terran in Heart of the Swarm is their drop capability. They basically got a straight upgrade. Absolutely straight upgrade. It's wonderful, really, when you think about it. You get medevac speed. You don't even have to research it or anything. And I tried to drop maybe twice. This gimmicky little Widowmine drop at completely the wrong time. Didn't work at all. And he's just been allowed to get 4 bases completely unmolested. So I'm still ahead here in supply. Still ahead. I have a larger army. And what do? Need I say more? Need I say more? Let's just watch that again, shall we? In slow motion. So, he's attacking my 4 exposed barracks, which he does damage. I float 3 of them away, move my medevacs and force back in, stim forward, hit the Archons. The rest of his army is, of course, here. We're going to slow it down. And... God. That was the Protoss equivalent of that Baneling video I did like 2 years ago. As QXC often said, well, you know what? You just got Protossed. Yep. And it was all my dumb ass fault. Every last bit of... he claims to get lucky. No. He didn't. He did not get lucky. That was my fault. I utterly screwed that up. And now there's no chance of me coming back into this. You know, I keep building, but I'm building like 9 Marines at a time. He has like a maxed out army, pretty much. He's got 4 bases. He's just establishing his 5th on the gold in the center. A couple of Widow Mines pop off here and there. He still actually doesn't know about my planetary up to the top, which is something of a blessing. But even if, you know, if he did, then it wouldn't really matter, because what's the use? I've got all this money, I can't spend it. I lost a lot of production facilities there. I'm having to rebuild reactors. That's like 50 seconds of time. And now he's just going to hit me again. My medevac count is at 0. For some reason, I forgot to build any. I'm floating like 2,500 gas. It was dreadful. Like, possible 5 or 6 times where I could have actually won that game. And just through a complete and total lack of game awareness, I utterly failed to do so. And that is horribly depressing. But hey, it's a benchmark. It's where I need to start from. This is where it's got to go from. I've got to get better than this. Lord knows I couldn't get any worse. Ugh. My name is Totalbiscuit, and I evidently still suck at Starcraft 2. I'll see you next time.